Ronald Reagan famously said this:
"We, as Americans, have the capacity now, as we've had in the past, to do whatever needs to be done to preserve this last and greatest bastion of freedom. In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem."
Government has only gotten bigger. We're $36 trillion in debt, agencies are bloated, and bureaucrats have never been lazier. Biden spent 40% of his presidency on vacation, but compared to the rest of the government, he's a workaholic. A new Senate report says only 6% of federal workers go into the office 5 days a week. And if you don't count security guards and maintenance staff, only 1% of government workers do 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. 1%. Almost 90% of government office buildings are completely empty. So where is everyone? One manager at Veterans Affairs took a picture of himself working from a bubble bath. He called it "my office for the next hour." What kind of man takes a bubble bath? Men age out of bubble baths at 5. If you're a guy and you're alone in a bubble bath, that's a problem. You have to have someone with you. Remember when the GSA got caught in a Vegas bubble bath holding a California cab? Yeah. And the only federal workers showing up to the office are having sex with each other. If you caught the show yesterday, we reported a Breitbart exclusive, a major scandal rocking the VA. Our report stated there was a 12-person orgy, but we have to issue a correction. It wasn't a 12-person orgy. It was 15. We apologize to the 3 we left out. And they've all resigned, but don't worry, they get to keep their pensions.
Employees to have sex with each other at work?
Absolutely not.
So why is it that we have at least 15 Mountain Home, Tennessee VA employees who have allegedly had sex on the VA property? They've not been disciplined.
Those actions are reprehensible, extremely inappropriate. We also have seen every implicated person leave the VA, resign, and an investigation is underway across all of the leaders and individuals involved here.
If it's not hot tubs or orgies, it's alcohol. 2 years ago, Nancy Pelosi opened up a liquor store in Congress. And yes, they cater. So if any politicians want to knock back a cognac or have a glass of Pinot, Nancy's waitstaff will bring it straight to your office. No wonder they spend so much money. They're all drunk. And we're not talking about a glass or two here and there. Members of Congress can order cases of wine and liquor. Cases. We found some items Congress has been spending money on, and it has to be after a few rounds. Are you ready? $500,000 for an IHOP in D.C. What, Jerry Nadler need his pancakes? Almost $2 million for holograms of dead comedians. $3 million for girl-centered climate action group in Brazil. Sounds kind of like porn. $45 million on DEI scholarships in Burma. Isn't everyone in Burma DEI? And they still had about $150 billion left over to spend on illegals last year. $150 billion with a B. If you're wondering, the Manhattan Project, adjusted for inflation, only cost $30 billion. The Panama Canal, $15 billion. The Hoover Dam, $1 billion. You don't need a PhD in economics to know we're getting ripped off.
Unless you don't have a brain above a single cell organism, you know that there is waste in the federal government. There's enormous waste. Cutting waste up here is kind of like going to heaven. You know, everybody wants to do it, but nobody's quite ready to make the trip.
That was until today. Trump finally got Elon out of Mar-a-Lago and sent him to Capitol Hill. And he brought someone special. And we're not talking about Vivek.
Elon, how's the meeting's been today? How do you win over people who say DOGE doesn't have any power? Do you think you can still...
Elon, how do you define success for DOGE? Elon, do you want to see Democrats here?
Trump's taking a blowtorch to D.C. The goal is to cut $2 trillion from the budget. And if you're working from home, you're not working hard enough, so pack your bags. Here's Vivek.
The idea of reducing the federal employee headcount is not really about saving cost. Part of what you have is an overgrown federal government that is doing things that were never supposed to be done by the federal government in the first place. You look at the number of times in the last 2 years alone, or 2 to 3 years, that the action of a federal agency has been struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. So I think part of the project of thinning out the federal bureaucracy, that's less about the headcount expenses, and it's more about actually respecting the rules of the road in the constitutional republic.
DOGE is taking aim at illegal regulations. And now the second richest man in the world is asking, how can I help?
I'm very hopeful about this. He seems to have a lot of energy around reducing regulation. And my point of view, if I can help him do that, I'm going to help him. Because we do have too much regulation in this country. This is the most important thing, a growth mindset. And we are the luckiest country in the world. We have all these natural resources, including energy independence. You've probably grown in the last 8 years. He has too. What I've seen so far is that he is calmer than he was the first time and more confident, more settled.
The two richest men in the world are going to streamline the government to run it like a corporation. And now the third richest man wants in. Mark Zuckerberg just made a pilgrimage to Mar-a-Lago to talk shop with Trump. And everyone's on notice. Executives from big pharma companies like Pfizer flew down to Mar-a-Lago this week to have dinner with Trump. And 47 brought a surprise guest. RFK Jr. came and sat down at the table with the big pharma executives so we can live fact check. Besides Maha, another topic of discussion, a cure for cancer. It was a 3-hour dinner, probably because of the fact checking. And as it wound down, we're told DJ Donald Trump pulled out his iPad and blasted Pavarotti. Meanwhile, at the FBI, agents are gearing up for a big clash with cash. Mr. Patel, Trump's pick for director, says he wants to turn the Hoover Building into a museum for the deep state. And it's not going over very well.
I talked to a number of executives at headquarters who are absolutely have already polished off their resume as soon as Trump was named as winner of the election and are out there actively pursuing other careers. Their chief concern and what they're going to be keenly looking for, and we should all be looking for as well, is the degree to which a Patel in that position is going to impact the field offices. A clash is going to occur rather immediately. It's going to occur almost immediately. And again, this desire to do away with civil service protections, I'm sure, the Agents Association and other law firms are ready to go on challenging that.
Some governors are putting up a resistance. Gavin Newsom says he wants to spend millions to Trump-proof California, whatever that means. Other Democrats are saying, cut it out.
I do wonder what that means, the Trump-proof a state. Like, how do you Trump-proof a state in America? Like, what happens when you need the president of the United States of America for something? You know what I mean? Like, I don't quite understand what that means. Make it about the policies, because when you say things like Trump-proof, you're going to end up looking like a hypocrite when, you need the president for something and you all in his face smiling and cheesing the same way, President Biden was after they called him a threat to democracy and all of these other things. And then he was like, welcome back, when it came time for the White House. So it's like, cut it out.
Even Bill Clinton says enough is enough.
I do think we should stop trying to criminalize politics. But on the other, I think we should, both of us, because obviously, and the people don't like it and they're not going along with it from right to left.
Everyone's begging for mercy. Mexico, after getting threatened with a 25% tariff, just seized a record haul of fentanyl from the Sinaloa cartel. Trump hasn't even laid down the tariffs, and Mexico's getting their act together. Real men are back in D.C., and all the little critters are trying to clean up the mess before Dad comes home. But they want to throw one last pardon palooza. They want Biden to toss a pardon blanket over the entire Capitol. Fauci, Jack Smith, Adam Schiff, even journalists. These jokers haven't even asked for pardons. Democrats are just assuming they'd want them because they know what they've done. And Biden's thinking about it.
I think that they're taking every opportunity here to explore the options they have left in the time that they have left in office to protect people who may be subject to that attack. So yes, I think it is absolutely a serious process they're undergoing.
Biden's leaving office in the wake of pardons, orgies, alcohol, empty office buildings, and bubble baths. What a legacy. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.